Hey guys, welcome back to Life Short Live Free. Today we are going to go over this optic here, which is the TRS 26 from the AR Optics line from Bushnell. So this optic here, the TRS 26 from Bushnell. I've been running this optic on my competition rifle here for, I'd say better part of 9 months now. It's probably got not a ton of rounds. I don't have a ton of rounds through this rifle with this optic on it. I'd say between 700 to 1,000, somewhere in there. So not a ton of time behind it, but enough to know that I really enjoy it. I've used some other red dots, and I'm fine with other red dots, but this to me is like the poor man's Trijicon MRO. It's just a little bit bigger objective lenses, or objective lens, excuse me, and it seems like it gives you a better field of view. You're not looking through such a small tube, so it just seems like a little better sight picture. Feels easier for me for quick target acquisition and things like that. So they did go up to a 26mm objective lens. That's an upgrade from the TRS 25. It still does have a 3 MOA reticle, and there are 12 brightness settings for that reticle. Just with the push buttons here, there's just an up-down push button here. The highest brightness setting, you get a little bit of that starburst effect, unless it's a super bright day out. I'm usually somewhere right in the middle. Some of the other specs of the thing, it takes a single CR 2032 battery. It is O-ring sealed for waterproof and nitrogen purged to be fog proof. They say with the CR 2032 battery, it gets up to 50,000 hours of battery life. I'm not sure what brightness setting that is on. I've been running this for 6 months or so. I shouldn't have to worry about battery for a while, considering it is just my competition gun, so I do turn the optic off after every range day. It does weigh 6 ounces, so it's about average as far as a red dot goes, a little chunkier than some. But even with that 6 ounces, this rifle here, as you see it, is 6 pounds, 0.2 ounces. So I'm really not too terribly worried about the 6 ounces that this thing weighs. I know there's lighter stuff out there. I've been really happy with it. I'm obviously not running backup irons on this. I might someday, but I'm not too worried about it now. But the mount that's included is a lower 1/3 co-witness mount. But if you don't like that, this thing does take the footprint of Aimpoint T1. It has the same footprint as the Aimpoint T1 and mounting base. So if you have some absolute co-witness, some lower or some really high risers or mounts that you like, that are for the T1, they will also work for this. Yeah, like I said, I compare it to, it's like a poor man's Trijicon MRO, or like a budget-friendly MRO. It kind of shares the same form and function of an MRO. I mean, obviously it's not going to be as tough as a Trijicon, but I'm not nice to this thing. I mean, I'm not intentionally abusive to it. I haven't run a torture test on it. I haven't just tried to beat the tar out of it and see what it'll handle. But as far as standard competition use, slamming your gun up against barricades and having it on a sling and bouncing around and all that stuff, it's held at 0 perfectly. I'll roll in some footage of just some when I first mounted this, just kind of getting it sighted in and doing some offhand shooting with it. I've been really happy with it. You can get them super cheap. I think I've seen them. Gosh, I think I've seen them under $200. But you know, I've been really happy. And like I said, you don't get like that tunnel vision or the small tube with something like the, you know, the primary arms micro dot or things like that. It is a little bigger and bulkier and easier to snag on things, but I haven't had any issues with that. That's not to say that wouldn't be an issue, but I've really enjoyed this optic. So like I said, I've had, you know, roughly 700 to 1,000 rounds through this optic, and you know, that's not a ton of rounds and not a ton of time to really test it out that heavily, but I really see this thing going the distance with this rifle. I don't see myself changing out of it. I really like it. It's really good for target acquisition. It does have a little bit of a tint to the glass, but nothing that I really notice, and I don't see it as a problem, I guess. Was able to hit offhand at 200 yards with this thing, you know, without too much difficulty. So it's fairly clear glass. And like I said about the reticle, you do get a little bit of that starburst if it's, you know, like if you have it turned up too high. But I always try and run it as low as I can and still be able to see the dot. So you get a nice, precise, clean 3 MOA dot. I haven't had any issues even with this base, and this was just the base that was included. I didn't go through and make sure the mount was torqued to the sight or anything. I just threw it on here and tightened it down, torqued it to what they recommended in the manual, and I haven't had any issues. I haven't had any shifting. It hasn't come loose, and it's held zero really well. So this is a very light recoiling rifle. I haven't tested this on anything that's a little heavier recoiling to, you know, like an AR-10 or even like my 4570 to see if that would be the case. But I think for like a standard 223 300 blackout, you know, or pistol caliber carbine, anything like that, it'd hold its zero just fine. Was fairly easy to zero. The only complaint with that I guess I have is, you know, it's been pretty standard now that on these turret caps for zeroing, that there's the tool to turn it is you know, there's almost like a flat screwdriver top on the top of these caps, so you don't need tools to turn it. And this doesn't have that, so you do need a tool or a dime or penny or whatever, you know, pocket knife to turn those. But that's really the only complaint I have. As I mentioned, this is a lower 1/3 co-witness mount, which is, you know, generally the most common. So your dot's going to be just above your iron sights. You can see through it with, you know, see your iron sights through the glass, but it'll be in the lower third of the glass. But if you want something lower to do an absolute co-witness with your irons, you know, like I said, the Aimpoint T1 mounts work with this, and I've been really impressed with this thing. It's done great for me. It hasn't ever randomly shut off on me. It hasn't ever given me issues with, you know, I have no complaints with this thing. For as inexpensive as it was, yeah, no complaints whatsoever. I have been happier than heck with the thing. I kind of looked around before I decided on this. I looked around at a lot of stuff. I looked at primary arms, red dots. I was looking at EOTechs. I was looking at Holosuns. I was looking at, and honestly, it came down to I was either going to buy this or the Trijicon MRO. And I just decided that I wanted to save a little money that day, so I went with this. And honestly, I'm pretty happy I did. You know, obviously, I think that Trijicon makes awesome products. I own a few Trijicon products, and I really like them. They are absolutely top-notch quality. But this is, as far as a budget-minded guy who wants to get into some light competition shooting, some 3-gun stuff, some 2-gun stuff, this to me is a great optic. Like I said, I haven't fully torture tested the thing, but I don't have much doubt in my mind with, after, you know, the little bit of time I have behind it, I really think this thing would fit in just fine in a 2-gun or 3-gun competition world. As far as duty use, you know, I'd spend the money on a Trijicon, but as far as competition stuff, yeah, this thing, I love it. I love it. I'm in love with it, and I would not hesitate to purchase another one. So guys, if you are looking for a new red dot for your new build or your new rifle, or even an existing build that you have iron sights, or you have an LPVO and you're wanting to switch over to a red dot, give this thing a look. You know, it's fairly inexpensive. It'd be good for a competition gun, like I said, or even just a range toy or something like that. Duty use, like I said, I would personally spend the money on a Trijicon MRO, or, you know, maybe an aim point, obviously, but yeah, as far as your range toys or your competition guns, this thing is awesome. It's real good for quick target acquisition and quick shooting, so it makes it a lot of fun. It makes it real easy to shoot fast and have a good time. So, alright guys, well, that's been a quick look at this thing, the Bushnell TRS 26 in their AR optics line. Nice little red dot, good little competition gun sight, great sight picture, quick and easy target acquisition with that bigger objective lens, and it's really noticeable. You know, you don't think that 1mm would make a lot of difference, but it picks up a lot more light, and just with it works. It works. They did a good job with this thing. I really like it, and I think you guys will too. So check it out if you guys are in the market for a new red dot, and throw in a little bit of range footage, maybe some nice B-roll here, and we'll see you guys next time.